Hello and welcome back to the Hazzabhajan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and today it is time to do yet another stat-based video based on an idea that I happened to come up with in my head one night, because that's how I get most of my video ideas nowadays, so it seems. Not long ago, I was watching a video about the chaotic period in France's Liga when there were 6 different league winners in 6 consecutive seasons between 2008 and 2013, with Lyon, Bordeaux, Marseille, Lille, Montpellier and Juggernauts PSG all lifting the title once during that time span. And it got me thinking, can any league in Europe better that? With my curiosity sufficiently piqued, I decided to go through the title winners of every single UEFA affiliated league season by season and see which ones had the most different league champions in a row, and then turn it into a video. What I mean by this is that there has to be a significant period of time in a particular league's history when no team won it twice, so as soon as there is a repeat winner, the sequence ends, like in 2014 in Liga when PSG won it again. I will go through the leagues in alphabetical order and give profiles on what happened, although given that there are around 55 leagues to cover, I won't spend too long on each entry, otherwise we'd probably be here all week. Furthermore, I'm only looking at countries' leagues when they were independent, so any regional leagues that were run in former Yugoslavic and Soviet countries, just as some examples, whilst the particular nation was a part of those republics, are not considered. I hope that all makes sense, and without any further ado, let's have a look and see which European league has had the most consecutive new champions. A Liga, 4. Going in alphabetical order means that we start with Lithuania's A Liga. As I'm excluding the Soviet-era Lithuanian football from 1940 to 1990, given that the country's league was also a part of the Soviet league structure, the most that I could find was 4, which occurred twice, once prior to them joining the USSR between 1931 and 1934, and once almost immediately after their A-Liga was created in 1991, with the league seasons from 1992 to 1995, each seeing different champions. Allsvenskan, 6. Similarly, in Sweden's Allsvenskan, the streak of new league champions reached a peak of 6 on 2 separate occasions, although from 1920 to 1925, the first of them, it was actually the winners of the Cup that determined the national champions. The second was actually quite recent, with Malmö, Djurgårdens, Elfsborg, Göteborg, Kalmar and AIK each winning the league once apiece from 2004 to 2009, before Malmö spoilt it by winning the league again in 2010. Armenian Premier League, 5. Armenia have only seen as many as 5 consecutive different league champions once in their relatively short post-USSR history, when Ulysses started off the run, followed by Shirak, Banans, the country's most successful team Pjunik, and then Alashkert. Azerbaijan Premier League Kazi, 4. Azerbaijan has hit 4 twice, once from 1992 to 1995 in the league's first 4 seasons post-independence, and from 2005 to 2008, with both of those runs being kick-started by Neftchi, the team with the most league titles in the country's history, with 9. Belarusian Premier League, 6. The 4th former Soviet nation thus far, although the last for a while, Belarus saw a run of 6 at the turn of the millennium, including title wins for established Belarusian powerhouses like Bate Borisov and Dynamo Minsk, as well as first-time winners Gomel, Shakhtar Soligorsk and Belshchina Bobruisk. The other team, in case you're interested, was Slavia Mazir. Bundesliga, 7. The first of Europe's top 5 leagues to feature in this video, Germany also sees the highest number of consecutively different league champions thus far, with 7. Remarkably, this has happened twice, once from 1909 to 1920, when some seasons weren't played owing to World War I, and again during the 7 first campaigns of the actual Bundesliga, as Köln, Werder Bremen, 1860 Munich, Eintracht Frankfurt and Nuremberg won the first 5 Bundesliga Meisterschaften before Bayern Munich and Borussia Mönchengladbach won the next 2 and set up a duopoly between the two, which would continue on into the 1970s. Campeonato Sammarinese de Calcio, 5. San Marino's domestic league is the lowest ranked according to UEFA's current coefficient rankings as of the time of this recording, although it isn't the lowest by this particular criteria, as between 1989 and 1993, Domagnano, La Fiorita, Faetano, Montevideo and Tre Fiori each won the league title in that order, although Tre Fiori would then win the next 2 in 1994 and 1995 to stop the count at 5. Czechia Futbolowa Liga, 3. Very few teams have actually won the Czech League post-independence, just 5 in all, and most of them have won titles at relatively regular intervals, meaning that the longest run of new champions season by season is just 3, which has occurred on 5 separate occasions, most recently between 2012 and 2014. Championnat de Belgique, 4. Pre-World War II, the Belgian league was quite open, which perhaps explains why all of their 3 streaks of 4 different league champions in a row happened before 1945. But since then, the league has been dominated by Anderlecht, Standard Liège and Club Brugge, who have won all barring 15 of the available league titles since 1946, meaning that there hasn't been much space for consecutively different winners. Cymru Premier, 7. Moving over to Wales, their run of 7 different winners, quite remarkably, included 5 reserve teams, namely those of Barry Town, Cardiff City, Swansea City, Newport County and Merthyr Town, meaning that just 2 senior teams, namely Levels Athletic and Llanelli, won the league between 1926 and 1932. Cypriot First Division, 5. Anorthosis, Apoel, Omonia, Olympiakos, a different one from the Greek one, and AEL Limassol were the teams in question, although it spans across 6 years, from 1963 until 1968, as opposed to just 5, as a result of the 1963-64 Cypriot League being abandoned after just 7 games, owing to mass civil unrest in the country. Divizia Națională, 2. Ever since the USSR collapsed and Moldova became independent in 1992, just 5 teams have won the Divizia Națională, with 27 of the 30 championships to date having gone to either Zimbru Chisinau, who were dominant in the 1990s, or Sheriff Tiraspol, who have won all barring 2 since 2001. As such, the record for Moldova is whenever the league changed hands just once, which has happened 7 times, the most recent of which coming in 2016, when Sheriff reclaimed the crown from Milsami Orhai. Efeldayidin, 5. The Faroe Islands are a unique member of UEFA in that they aren't an officially independent nation owing to their status as an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, but their league has been running since 1942 and is recognised as an official league. Each of their 3 runs of 5 took place at the end of the 20th century, with one spanning from 1985 to 89, the next from 1989 to 93, and the final one from 1996 to 2000, with HB, which obviously is now my new favourite team, winning 1 title in each of them. Ekstraklasa, 6. Familiar names such as Wisła Kraków and Ruch Chorzów won league titles between 1976 and 1981, when Poland saw 6 different league champions straight. But surprisingly perhaps, Lech Poznan, titans of the Polish game for so long, were nowhere to be seen in this run. Elitserien, 5. Heading northwards to Scandinavia, and more specifically Norway, this particular sequence started in the very year that the league changed its name from the Hovserien to the First Division in 1963, lasting for 5 years and seeing Brann, Lyn, Vålerenga, Skeid and traditional Norwegian titans Rosenborg each pick up a league medal, before Lyn won it again in 1968 to end the streak. English Premier League / First Division, 7. What is unique about England's 2 runs of 7 different champions is that when the first run ended in 1965, the second one started the very next season in 1966, and Liverpool, Man United and Everton were the only 3 teams to win leagues in both of those runs, alongside clubs such as Burnley and Ipswich in sequence 1 and Derby and Manchester City in sequence 2. Eredivisie, 11. It was a lot more open during the amateur era of Dutch football than it is now, as the Eredivisie has virtually become a closed shop to PSV, Ajax and Feyenoord ever since the league became professional in 1956. Before that though, were 11 straight seasons of different teams picking up league titles from 1943 until 1954, and the teams included PSV and Ajax, as well as now defunct teams such as Haarlem and Limburgia. The sequence of 11 is the longest of its kind amongst Europe's professional top-flight leagues. Eredivisie Liga, 5. In Georgia, we revert back to a pretty bog-standard figure of 5, lasting from 2015 to 2018, owing to the league season reverting to a spring to autumn schedule as opposed to a summer-spring schedule, and consisting of Dira Gora, Dinamo Tbilisi, Sampdoria, Torpedo Kutaisi and Saportalo, as clearly teams struggle to get to grips with the schedule change. Fortuna Liga, 4. Slovakia's longest streak of this kind post-independence only actually started 1 year later than in Georgia, namely in 2016, when Trenčín won their 2nd straight title, before the trophy changed hands from Žiline to Spartak Trnava, and then finally to powerhouses Slovan Bratislava in 2019, who then went on to complete a hat-trick of league titles last season. Gibraltar National League, 6. The teams who won the Gibraltar Premier Division, as it was known back then, between 1934 and 1939 had phenomenal names such as Commander of the Yard, Chief Constructor, Chief Construction. It's important not to get the 2 mixed up, as I definitely didn't, and Prince of Wales, who were the dominant team of that era of football in Gibraltar, with the other two teams in that time span being Europa, one of the most historically consistent and successful teams in the country, and Britannia 11. Il Campionat Premier 6. Interestingly, in Malta, only one of the 6 different winners from 1915 to 1921, namely St George's, didn't win the league unbeaten in the season in which they won it, and the roll call includes teams like Floriana, Salema Wanderers and Valletta United, titans of the Maltese game, as well as the King's Own Malta Regiment, winning it in 1919 before the regiment was disbanded just 2 years later. Categoria Superiore 6. Moving up to Albania, and we have another run of 6, this time from 1990 to 1995, and including teams such as Kiev Tirana and Framurtari. But if the 2021-22 season has a league champion who hasn't won the league since 2016, then the record will be equalled. No pressure there then. Kazakhstan Professional Football League 4. Nothing too special to report here with Kazakhstan, as they have a bog standard run of 4 consisting of Irtysh, Kairat, Aktobi and Astana 64 between 2003 and 2006. La Liga 4. La Liga has been generally dominated by both Barcelona and Real Madrid, with splashes of Atletico Madrid and Athletic Bilbao, as well as maybe Valencia here and there, throughout its history, which hasn't left much room for a long run of different league winners. This is epitomised by the longest streak of this kind being just 4 from 1999 until 2002, which contained the usual suspects of Barcelona and Real, but also Valencia and shock 2000 champions Deportivo La Coruña. League of Ireland Premier Division 6. 6 of the 7 most successful teams in Ireland since 1985, when it became the League of Ireland Premier Division, won 1 league title apiece between 1989 and 1994, namely Dundalk, Shamrock Rovers, Shelbourne, St Pat's Athletic, Cork City and Derry City, with the only exception being Bohemians. Liga 1 6. Romania's record sequence of 6 different winners in quick succession started all the way back in 1914, 4 years before notorious future head of state Nicolae Ceausescu was born. It spans 6 seasons and 8 years, and 4 of the teams who won the league during that time no longer exist, with the other 2, namely Venus Bucharest and Provo Ploiesti, both being amateur outfits nowadays. Liga Tal 5. Strangely enough, the Liga of Israel's run was at the exact same time as that of the Cypriot First Division from 1963 to 1968, as a result of the 1966-68 campaign lasting, as you might have guessed, 2 years because of player protests about various issues of the Israeli game at the time. The usual suspects of Hapoel Tel Aviv and Maccabi Tel Aviv crop up in this sequence, as well as Hapoel Petah Tikva, Hapoel Ramat Gan, and Hakoah Ramat Gan. Liga 8. Although Liga has the joint 3rd longest streak of this ilk out of any top-flight league in Europe with 8, it lasted for 14 years as a result of World War II putting an abrupt halt to French football, and for that matter, France as a whole too. French giants Marseille, Nice, Bordeaux, Lille and Reims all won league titles during that time, as well as FC Sète, who are now in the Nationale, and Roubaix Tourcoing, who don't actually exist anymore but won Division 1 within just 2 years of their formation. Macedonian First Football League 6. Nothing too much to remark from North Macedonia really, with an above average run of 6 including maiden title winners such as Macedonia Skopje and KF Renova, as well as the most successful team in North Macedonian football, Vardar, who were going to win 6 league titles in 9 years from 2012. Maistri Liga 3. Estonia's Maistri Liga has been absolutely dominated by Flora and Levadia, who have won 24 of the 30 league championships between them, so it should come as very little surprise that the number 4 Estonia is really small, and that Flora are involved in all 4 of the occasions that it has extended to 3 consecutively different league winners, and Levadia appear in all but one of them. Nacional Division 5. Unlike many of Europe's minnows, Luxembourg have had a national league for over a century, and 15 teams have won the league title, albeit 8 of them no longer exist. The longest sequence by the criteria applied for this video is 5, although this has been hit on 4 separate occasions, the most recent of which coming between 1961 and 1965, although with Jeunesse Esch and F91 Dudelange's recent duopoly, I sadly doubt it'll reach 6 anytime soon. Namjeti by Nogzag 1. 5. Hungary are yet another nation who haven't managed to break away from the doldrums of 5 straight different league winners just yet, with those runs coming between 1998 and 2002, and another one from 1955 until 1960, with one season in the latter run having been abandoned owing to the Bulgarian uprising of 1956. NIFL Premiership 5. The third straight league in this video to hit 5 but stop their Northern Ireland's run, perhaps unsurprisingly, saw 5 of the 6 most successful teams in Northern Ireland's history that still exist pick up league titles, namely Portadown, Crusaders, Cliftonville, Glentoran, and the most dominant of all, Linfield, between 1996 and 2000. Österreichische Bundesliga 4. Having reached league number 36, I am now slowly running out of ways to introduce the separate countries and leagues, I must admit. But we arrive at the Österreichische Bundesliga nonetheless, who break the chain of 5, although it is the 4th league in this video to have their longest run start in 1963. I don't quite know what it is with that year, but clearly something was in the air. Unlike the other 3, namely in Cyprus, Israel and Norway, it only extended out to 4, as Austria Vienna, Rapid Vienna, Lask and Admira Vienna won the 4 league titles up until 1966, before Rapid Vienna spoiled everything by scooping up the 1967 league championship. Parva Liga 7. Bulgaria's longest streak actually occurred when the league was a knockout format as opposed to wholly round robin, but since those league titles were legitimate and haven't been discounted by the authorities, I'm counting them here. Between 1929 and 1935, 7 different teams, including historical giants Levski Sofia, as well as 4 teams that no longer exist, managed to win the league without there being a repeat winner during that time. Premier Liga Bosnia and Herzegovina 6. When Bosnia and Herzegovina originally gained independence from Yugoslavia, the leagues were actually divided up amongst ethnic groups into 3 different leagues before they merged together in 2000, which is where I am starting from. Even in spite of its relative youth in comparison to other leagues, it has still seen a run of 6 different league champions in a row, which included wins for Siroki Prijajic, Sarajevo, Modrica, Zrinjski, Zelezničar and Borach. And I'm well aware that I've probably butchered each of those teams' names, as well as many others in this video and to come as well. I can only apologise. Primera Liga 3. In a league that has only seen 2 league titles go to anyone that isn't called Benfica, Sporting CP or Porto in its entire 87-year history, it's impossible for the figure to be above 5 anyway, and as you've already seen, the actual figure is just 3, although those 2 triumphs from teams outside of the traditional big 3, namely Belenenses and Boavista, were part of streaks of 3 consecutive new league winners. It has happened 8 times in all, including from 2019 to 2021, meaning that if a new team somehow surprises everyone to win the league this season, it'll be the first time that Portugal has ever reached 4 new winners in a row. Primeira Divisão 4. Prior to 2008, Andorra's Primeira Divisão, the country's first ever professional football league when it was established in 1995, was actually quite an open field, with 6 different league winners over the course of 12 years, and the run of 4 in question took place from 1999 until 2002. Ever since 2008 though, FC Santa Coloma, one of the teams who won a league title in that sequence, have virtually monopolised the league, winning 9 in 13, although admittedly, they haven't actually picked up a league title since 2019. Prva Crnogorska Liga 4. Montenegro's Prva Liga has only been running since 2006, when the country broke away from Serbia to become its own autonomous nation. Yet there have still been 3 instances of 4 different teams winning the league in a row, thus meaning that no team has really been able to break away as the dominant force within the country just yet, with Budućnost, who won titles in each of those 3 sequences, the most successful on 5. Prva Hrvatska Liga 3. Similar to a few other leagues in this video, Croatia's Prva Liga has been dominated by one team, in their case Dinamo Zagreb, and only 3 other teams have been able to win a league title ever since Croatia seceded from Yugoslavia in 1991, namely Hajduk Split, who have won 6, and Rijeka and NK Zagreb, who have won just 1 apiece. Therefore, only twice have we ever got past 2 different league champions in a row, between 2000 and 2002 and 2001 to 2003, with Dinamo Zagreb perhaps inevitably being involved in both of them and having won every league title barring 1 since 2006. Prva Slovenska Liga 4. Slovenia sees one of only 2 ongoing runs in this entire video, as in the last 4 seasons, Olimpia Ljubljana, Maribor, Celje and Mura, the last 2 of whom having won their maiden league titles in the process, have lifted the league trophy, and should early table toppers Koper keep up their early season good form, they'll extend it out to 5 and make this video seem immediately outdated. Russian Football Premier League 4. Not too far behind them in terms of recency is the run in the Russian Premier League, which took place from 2016 to 2019 and saw each of the 4 powerhouses of Russian football, CSKA Moscow, Spartak Moscow, Lokomotiv Moscow and Zenit St. Petersburg, pick up a league trophy each, although Zenit have gone on to win in 2020 and again in 2021 to complete a hat-trick of league titles. Schweizer Fußballmeisterschaft 9. Much further back in terms of recency is the 9-team streak, the second longest in this video behind only that of the Eredivisie, achieved in Switzerland during the pre and during and indeed post-war years from 1913 to 1921. Big names like Young Boys, Servette and Grasshoppers each picked up league titles alongside relative nobodies like Cantona, Winterthur and Brühl. Scottish Premiership 4. The duopoly between Rangers and Celtic over Scottish football, which has been commonplace throughout the league's history and hasn't been broken since 1985, has meant that there have only been one instance where 4 league seasons in a row have seen different league champions. It started all the way back in 1902, making it the earliest one in this video, and Rangers, Hibernian, Third Lanark and Celtic all won one league title each between 1902 and 1905. Serbian Superliga 2. Well, ever since Serbia became completely independent in 2006, only 2 teams have ever won the Serbian Superliga, namely Red Star Belgrade and Partizan Belgrade, and so there's only been 2 seasons at max, perhaps predictably, where there have been consecutive league winners who are different, and this has occurred 6 times. The last time though was back in 2018, as Red Star have won each of the 4 league titles ever since then. Serie A 5. What is unusual about 2 of Serie A's 3 sequences when they managed to get to 5 consecutive new winners was that they overlapped almost perfectly, with one beginning in 1966 and ending in 1970, and the other starting in 1967 and concluding in 1971, the common theme between the 2 being Inter Milan. The other run, in case you're interested, was from 1985 to 1989. Super League 4. The record run for Turkey is actually 7, but since that came before 1959 and league titles won before then are now unrecognised by the Turkish Football Federation, I have to go with 4 as the official answer. Only 6 teams have ever won the Super League since that date, and the only one of them not to feature in either of the 2 runs, which spanned from 1984 to 1987 and from 2008 to 2011, is Istanbul Başakşehir, who won the league in 2020. The other 5 teams are Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, Beşiktaş, Turkish traditional Big 3, Trabzonspor and Bursaspor. Super League Greece 4. Yet another league that has been dominated by a trident of teams throughout its history, the Greek Super League's traditional giants, namely Panathinaikos, AEK Athens and, most dominant of all, Olympiakos, have made it so that it is almost nigh on impossible to go past 4, by my criteria at the very least. Indeed, much like with Turkey, only 6 teams have ever won the league, and only 5 in the Greek Super League era, so the streaks from 1975 to 1978, when the Big 3 and PAOK won league titles, and from 1986 to 1989, when it was the Big 3 and Larissa who lifted the trophy, are the longest in Greek football history. Superliga I Kosovas 4. Kosovo, the youngest nation in UEFA, has a box-standard sequence of 4 which predates them being accepted into FIFA and UEFA by some 20 years, when between 1992 and 1995, Pristina, Trepsa, Dugajgini and Liria won the league in that order. Superliga 8. Tied with France as the country with the 3rd longest streak across Europe's top-flight leagues with 8, Denmark's traditional big teams such as Brøndby, OB, KB and AGF Aarhus all feature in this sequence. Ukrainian Premier League 2. Similar to Serbia's top flight in many respects, the Ukrainian Premier League has been dominated by just 2 teams, namely Shakhtar Donetsk and Dynamo Kiev, with only 1 title, the very first back in 1992, going to a team outside of those 2. This means that the longest streak of new champions is, predictably, just 2, namely whenever either one of Shakhtar or Dynamo fails to retain the title, which has happened 10 times, and the other one was from 1992 to, well, 1993, when Tavriya Simferopol lost their crown to Dynamo, who then kept it for 9 years. Orvajdal Kala 4. We're nearing the end of this video now, and to be honest, even I'm starting to lose my mind, so I'll breeze through the last few, starting with Iceland, whose 4-year streak tied in with the peak years of the Beatles, namely between 1967 and 1970, something which has nothing to do with this video whatsoever. Liga 6. Finland have hit 6 straight new winners on 4 different occasions, although it hasn't happened since the formation of the Liga in the early 1990s, with the most recent occurrence coming from 1964 until 1969. Liga 4. Finally, we have the Liga of Latvia, the mighty Liga, as some might say, and they are the last of 17 leagues in this video, whose longest streak was across 4 seasons, with theirs coming from 2009 to 2012, when Liepājas Metalurgs, Škoto Riga, FK Ventspils and Daugava each won in consecutive years. And that just about wraps up today's video, looking at every single one of Europe's top flight leagues and determining which one of them has had the longest streak of consecutively different league champions. And that is of course the Eredivisie with 11, and at the other end of the spectrum we have the Divisió Națională of Moldova on 2, as well as the Ukrainian Premier League and the Serbian Superliga. If you enjoyed this video, of course, don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and ring the notification bell. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then.